Hello. Chapter 32 is dealing with scarce resources, and in the first part you only have one scarce factor. So this task 32.5 is one of these. As you can see here, you have three different products: light, heavy, and strong. You can also see that the sales price is 100, and then the variable unit cost is 60, so you have a positive contribution margin of 40. And you also have a positive contribution margin on heavy and strong. You can produce or sell 6,000, 2,400 and 2,400. So it should be profitable to sell all of these units for the three products. The problem is that you only have 1,260 kilos and you use 80 grams of steel for light and so on. So therefore you are not able to produce all of it or sell all of it. So therefore you have to remove one of the products or a part of one of the products. So let's see how to handle this. Here you have the solution. You take here the informations from the task and you put them into this schedule. First you take the sales price of the products from here, and you can always try to look here, and then you can see exactly that it is taken from C11 here. So you can follow by the formulas, you can follow everything. So first the sales price, then you take the maximum sales, then you take the variable unit cost, 60, 120, 120, and then you can calculate the contribution margin per unit. It's 100 minus 60, that's 40, and so forth. Then you can calculate the total contribution margin by multiplying the contribution per unit and the maximum sales. And then you have the total contribution. Then you can calculate the use of steel, because you know that for light you use 80 grams per kilo, per unit, and you can produce 6,000 units. So you can multiply 80 grams by 6,000 units, and then you can divide by 1,000, then you have it in kilos. So if you should sell 6,000 units, you have to use 480 kilos of steel. Then you can calculate the contribution per kilo of steel, because you know that the total contribution is 240. So you can divide 240 with 480, and then you have per kilo 500. So the contribution margin per kilo is 500. Every time you use 1 kilo of steel, you will have a contribution margin of 500. Then you do exactly the same when it comes to heavy. You have the sales price, you have the maximum sales, you have the variable unit cost, so the contribution margin is 40, and you multiply by 2,400, and then you have the total contribution of 96,000. The use of steel is 600 because you use 250 grams per unit, and you can sell 2,400. That is altogether 600 kilos. The contribution margin per kilo is this divided by this, that is 160. It's less than the first one. And on strong, you can do the same. Sales price, maximum variable unit cost, contribution per unit is 80, and you multiply by sales, and then you have the total contribution of this amount. And you find the number, the kilos of steel, it's 480. It's 200 per unit, 200 grams. So you can see and then you calculate the contribution margin per kilo by dividing here again. It's 400. So you can see the best light is the best. You have to produce light. It gives you the biggest contribution margin per kilo. So it's priority number 1. And then strong is priority number 2 because it's 400, and then heavy is number 3. So now you know that you should start producing light and then go to strong, and then heavy is the last one, and maybe you cannot produce all of it, probably. So let's try to put it in the next table. Priority number 1, it was light. Contribution margin per kilo was 500. How many kilos do you use to produce all the light? You use 480 coming from here. So 480 kilo, and now you have altogether used 480 because it was the first product. Then you take strong. The contribution margin is 400 per kilo, and you use to produce all of the strong. You can see here 480 kilos. So you put 480 here, and then you have altogether used 960 kilos out of your total 1,260. So now you have left kilos 300. So you cannot produce all the heavy units because you know that to produce all the heavy, you can see here that it requires 600 kilos to produce all the heavy. And you only have 300 kilos left. So you can produce exactly half of the units. That means 1,200 units of heavy. And then they put the rest here because the limited amount is here, and then they put the rest here as an extra priority. So you can now make the last table. Light, the sales price is 100, sales volume 6,000, use of steel 480, and the total contribution is 204. Strong, you can produce all of it. Sales price 200, sales volume 2,400, and you use 480 kilos, and it gives you a total contribution margin of 192. But heavy, the sales price is 160, but the sales volume is only half of the 2,400 that you could sell. So you do not use 600 kilos, you only use half. And the contribution margin is of course not 96, but only half, because you only have half. So the total contribution margin is 480,000 crowns. And then they ask, calculate how much the maximum should pay in extra freight cost if it should be profitable to buy special steel. They have an extra profit of 48,000. So they could spend up to 48,000, and that is the solution here. Discuss whether they should buy the steel even if the cost is bigger. And they say, well, maybe it's a good idea to maintain a good customer and a good relationship, so therefore they should do it even though they have a small loss.